everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. I am so excited today to talk about all things books and reading. I'm going to be sharing my tips and explaining how I read 40 books this year, which is crazy to say out loud. It's New Year's Eve day. I just hit the goal last night with finishing my 40th book for the year. So I was just feeling really motivated today and saw some other YouTubers share like how they read so many books in a year, and I was like, that would be a really fun video to do, because maybe a goal you have for this new year is to read more or to read a certain amount of books. And so I wanted to share kind of my reading journey and also the tips that helped me along the way. I know my setup is a little bit different today. I am actually at my aunt and uncle's house in Florida. We're here over the New Year's holiday and I just couldn't wait to film this video. And so we're here in the bedroom I'm staying at. So I'm also dressed very librarian today. This is just all I had packed, and it's actually pretty cold here for Florida, so I had to layer up today. I'm going to section up this video into 3 parts. Part 1 is going to just be me quickly giving you my favorite benefits of getting into reading and reading more in case you need more of encouragement to start your reading journey. Then I'm going to share kind of a quick synopsis of my reading journey and then get into how to actually read more in the new year. I also just a few months ago did a beginner's guide to reading video, which I will link on screen and in the cards below, because that's a great one where I share like the first few books I started reading, series that I got into. So if you want specific book recs, you can go check out that video. I'm just going to share a few of my favorite benefits that I found while reading. One is the fact that I am not on my phone. Working from my phone and my computer all day is a lot, and then going onto my phone for entertainment at the end of the day, it's just not something I want to do. And so being able to pick up my Kindle, it's still a screen, but it's just used for reading, so it's like completely different in my mind. But picking up my Kindle, picking up a book, taking it on vacation with me, it's a great way to be entertained without your phone or TV. The next part is escapism. I leaned on this so heavily when I was in college and, still running my businesses. I was so stressed all the time. I had so many things to do, and the only way to turn my brain off was to read. I started reading in 2021, like at the end of my junior year of college, and it was a game changer for me to add into my night routine to wind down, because otherwise I was stressed. I was anxious about the classes I had next day, what homework I had to do, what tests I had coming up, business things, YouTube stuff. I just had so much going on that reading fiction was the only way for me to escape my world a little bit for 30 minutes to an hour a day and think about something that wasn't like school or work related. So if you are struggling with that and you feel like your mind is constantly running, constantly making a to-do list, for our overachiever selves out there, reading is something that kind of feels productive. It's like feels so good to check off a book, but even more than that, it's great to have just an escape from like your daily thoughts and your life. Next one is one that I don't think is talked about a lot when it comes to benefits of reading, and that is the community that you make when reading, online or in person. When you meet someone online, but especially in person, who has read the same book as you or read a similar series, you have something to talk about for like 20 minutes on a coffee date. It's so helpful for making new friends and for finding people with similar interests. Yes, of course, there's book clubs, but even just like when you meet someone new and if you find out they read and you read, ask them, some of your favorite books if they've read them. I found this especially 2 years ago when I was looking for new friends in Nashville. I joined a Bible study, and a few of us found we had all read ACOTAR. It's a very popular fantasy book series, my favorite one by far still. And it just brought us all together. We made a little group chat of all the girls in the Bible study that read, and then we went on a cabin retreat in July, and we're going on a beach trip in March. Like just us, this group of girls who found we all like to read similar fantasy books. So it's so amazing for community. You can make friends online that then turn into in-person friends, book a retreat with them. Or of course, like starting a book club is a great way to consistently see friends as well. Whether you guys actually read the book or you just talk, it's kind of fun. Seriously, I don't think people talk about the community around readers and how encouraging it is, how welcoming it is, and it's so fun because you have something so easy you can talk about. And then the last benefit I think of reading is the sense of accomplishment. As someone who is the achiever who likes to set goals and tick them off, it feels so good to finish a book, and then it feels so good to hit those reading goals. Or even if you just read one book in the year, it's still gonna feel good. And just the sense of like completing something and putting time towards something and learning something or having fun while doing it is such a great feeling. So those are the benefits I see. Just to give you a quick synopsis so you have some background, maybe my story is similar to yours. I've always read nonfiction books, like literally even in high school. I've always loved nonfiction because of that sense of accomplishment, goal setting, personal development, all the videos I make myself. I read Atomic Habits in like 9th grade, okay? So I've always been into reading nonfiction. But I didn't start really reading fiction until college when my friend Skylar and previous roommate, she's always been a fiction reader, and she's like, Hannah, just like read this book, have something to read over break. And I started really getting into it end of my junior year, which was 2021. I think I read the Bridgerton series because I absolutely loved that TV show, and so I started reading the books, loved historical romance, and then, you know, continued into modern romance, fantasy romance, all the things. And again, more book recs on my Goodreads, which I'll link below, and in that other video I'll link. But then in 2022 is the first year I set a goal on Goodreads to read, I think, 25 books. I didn't hit it. I think I read about like 20 books in the year, but it was still good for me. And then last year, 2023, last Christmas, so Christmas 2022 is when I got this Kindle, and it really is so amazing for helping you read a lot because it's like your personal, it's so easy to travel with, it's so easy to just always have with you. It's so thin. I share more about my Kindle, which Kindle I have, and if I would recommend it in that other beginner's guide to reading video, so I'm not going to talk about it a ton. But yes, it's amazing. If you start reading a ton of books, get the Kindle, because you can still read physical books, but the Kindle is, everyone who tries it and who loves to read raves about it, so there you go. And this past year, it's definitely the most books I've ever read in a year, which was 40. That was a mix of nonfiction, but I think it's like 3 maybe nonfiction books. Majority of what I read now is fiction. I can just read it quicker. Okay, so now we're going to get into my tips of how I actually read 40 books in a year. So starting with tip 1, for everyone out there, you have to read books that you enjoy. It's like trying to watch a movie that you hate or watching a TV show you're bored with. Like, you cannot try to just push through a book. I'm a firm believer in you can stop reading a book you don't like. If I read to about 15%, like the first 5 chapters or so, and I am not enjoying it at all, then I will put it away and I won't continue reading it. You have to figure out your likes and dislikes, and that's just going to take trying new things. My tip for this, which is also going to come in later, is to not buy the books, because then you won't feel as obligated to read them. And I'm not saying don't support authors. Like, if you have a favorite author, definitely support them, but support your libraries by getting a library card, get your free books from there, download the Libby app if you're in the US. Other countries have other apps. That allows you to get digital books from your library. So I think I've paid for maybe 2 books this whole year out of the 40. The rest of them I either get from Libby or from Kindle Unlimited, which is like $10 a month for a plethora of books. So like on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com, you can read a sample of the book, the first chapter or 2, and see how you like it before purchasing. So then once you find kind of a genre you like, you're going to want to find people who've reviewed that book on Goodreads. Goodreads is basically an app for reading. It's kind of what everyone uses to track the books they read, write reviews. It's like a social media for readers. Go to a book that you either loved or hated, go down to the bottom of the review section and find people who said similar things that you agree with. So if a reviewer said they loved that book too and they had similar points of parts they liked, go to their page and see what other books they read and rated highly. Or you can use influencers. There's so many amazing book influencers, book talkers, book YouTubers that share books. Like, they read hundreds of books in a year, and they're sharing, that's their job, is to share about books, reviews, fun vlogs. Like, get into the book YouTube and TikTok space. It is so fun, and you can find people on there who give reviews. If they loved a book, you read it, you loved it, then you know you can trust their reviews for that genre or something like that. And of course, you can also go to friends. You kind of have to figure out what style and type of books your friends like as well, to kind of know if you can trust their reviews in the future. And that's totally fine if you have different tastes than your friends in books. Everyone is different. The next tip I personally didn't use, but I think is a great one if you're intimidated by reading, or you feel like you're a slow reader, or you don't have the time, which you do have the time. But I feel like for people who maybe love podcasts but are trying to get into reading, get audiobooks. I'm in my 3rd year of reading consistently, and I'm just now discovering how amazing audiobooks are, because I listen to podcasts pretty much every time I get in the car, every time I clean or I'm getting ready. I like music, but I prefer podcasts usually. And so if you like podcasts, then you're going to love audiobooks. You can even start with nonfiction audiobooks, which are basically a very long podcast. Then you can get into fiction, and fiction like what are they called? They're called, I think, like theatrical style fiction books. These are amazing for listening to fantasy books like Fourth Wing, ACOTAR. I just listened to A Court of Thorns and Roses as an audiobook, and it's so good because they have different actors come in and do different voices for the different characters. They put sound effects in the background. It's literally like you're listening to a movie. And so if you have a long car trip coming up or you just have a long commute to work, get an audiobook that you're really excited to listen to, and it'll make driving 10 times better, or whatever else you're doing. So you can get audiobooks through, obviously, we've all heard of Audible, but there's also the Libby app. So with your library, they also have audiobooks most likely, and you can get free audiobooks. And guys, I just discovered this. I think this is new from Spotify. There are so many audiobooks that are free on Spotify included in your premium subscription. Like so many books that are on my to be read list, I have looked up on Spotify and I get the free audiobook. So I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so perfect. I can listen to it instead of maybe reading that book. And then if it's really good, I can decide, actually I do want to read it and go from there, or finish it as an audiobook. I also think if you listen to books more than read, I don't think that's better or worse. Like, a book is a book, and you should still be proud of yourself if you finish an audiobook. My next tip is, like I mentioned, try to get books for free, or at least use the sample. And that video I did a few months ago, which I'm linking below, I share a screen share of how I get books from my Kindle's Libby app onto my Kindle and all of that, how I get free books from the library. We go to the library in that vlog. So definitely check that out if you want to see how I pretty much get all my books for free. The next thing you can do is to set a goal for yourself. Like we mentioned, is really fun. On Goodreads, you can like set a goal for yourself, and it'll tell you as you read books if you're on track with your goal or if you're ahead of your goal or behind. So it's really great for tracking your book reading goal. Start with maybe 5 books. Like if you haven't read in years since you were in school, start with 5 books for the year. You can read one or over a month, and if you feel like you're really getting into it, then you can increase it as the year goes on. I think for 2024, I am setting my goal of 50 books, so increasing that 2023 goal by 10 more books. I think we're gonna try to do it, so here's to 2024. Of course, another tip is to get the Kindle. I read significantly more once I got the Kindle because you can get books instantly. You don't have to go to the store. You don't have to go to the library. But if you're not ready to commit to the Kindle and you want to see if you just like e-reading, you actually can get the Kindle app from Amazon for free, and it'll just go to your phone or your iPad, and you can get the Kindle unlimited. You can go to Libby and send it to your Kindle device, which could just be your iPad or your phone. So you can pretend you have a Kindle by using an electronic device you already have with the Kindle app. But I will say just the screen is so much better on here. It doesn't hurt my eyes at all. I keep mine on dark mode, so it looks like this when I'm reading. So it really is great for at night. I don't have this bright screen lit up. I just have the, the letters, and this battery life is incredible. It lasts hours and hours and hours. I charge this maybe once every 2 months, and I use it every day. My next tip, as we talked about community, it's such a great part of reading. And so find a community online. You can follow Podcast Book Club. The only podcast book club I consistently listen to is The Redheads, which is Jackie Oshry's podcast book club, but there's those. Oh, guys, and my friends just started a book podcast that I will link below. Book podcasts, book TikTokers, online digital book clubs, or you can start an in-person book club or do a book retreat with your friends. Last tip, this is actually the most important for how to actually fit reading into your day, and that is to find a time in your routine that works best for you. So here's a few options, okay, that you maybe not have thought of before. One is reading in the morning while you have your coffee or your breakfast or your morning beverage. For me, I read nonfiction in the morning. So I read my Bible, and usually like an inspiring business book. I read maybe a chapter, usually just for like 10 minutes or so, because I can't read fiction in the morning. Like in the morning, I'm ready to hustle, ready to get started with my day. Other options for reading is, again, listening to audiobooks on your commute, or if you take public transportation, you can read while you're on the bus, the subway, taxi, whatever it may be. Option 3 is to read on your lunch break. My friend Lucy would do this when she worked like at salons and stuff. If she wasn't busy, she would just bring her Kindle and read, and it looks a little better than like being on your phone during a lunch break at work. Or if you have a physical book, people are gonna be like, oh, I shouldn't interrupt her, she's reading. Or you can always like go to your car and read on your lunch break as well. So there's a great way to fit in some extra reading time. My friend Haley, who has the book podcast, I know she reads a lot of times on her lunch break with fellow coworkers who are also readers. So again, bringing the community aspect in, you can all read on your lunch break together. One of my favorite ways is actually to read on the treadmill, or if like I'm on the stair climber or the elliptical. Again, this is why a Kindle is so helpful, because it'd be hard to hold a physical book. but this, I just set it up like my phone, or I can hold it in one hand. And I love working out while reading. If I just am like, you know what, I need to get some steps in today, especially in the winter. If I don't want to walk outside, I'll just grab this. And if I don't want to watch like a YouTube channel, I don't want to listen to music while I'm working out, I will read, and it makes time go by so quickly. And then lastly is, of course, reading before bed. This is my favorite time to read. This is something I do every night. In 2023, probably 95% of my nights I read at least a little bit before bed. In my normal night routine, I read for about an hour, but even if it's just for 20 minutes, I will always have my Kindle next to me. I travel with it all the time. Oh, especially good for planes. You can get through like half a book on a plane. So that's amazing as well. Great place for reading. You're kind of like stuck in one spot. But I absolutely love reading before bed. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, it just calms me down. It helps me escape. I look forward to it at the end of the day. It's like my little nightcap of my day. And now that I have a cat, he also knows my routine. He knows I get in and I read, and so he'll snuggle next to me. Spruce will snuggle up next to me as I read, and it's just like a perfect time. So that is my video of how to read 40 books in the year, or how to even just get into reading. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you want to follow me on Goodreads, I don't really post reviews, but you can just keep up with what I'm reading each week. And also, if you want to know my reviews of books in videos, I share them at the very end of all of my monthly resets. I do a recap of all the books I read that month. I rate them, give my thoughts and reviews. And so if you're looking for new book ideas every month, I read 3 to 4 books a month and review them there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment below your favorite book you've ever read, because I would love some recs for the new year, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.